So God is saying to us that if you really want to see the goods of the land, if you really want to see the opportunity, if you want to see the privileges that I have locked up for you in a land, in a place, then you will have to make obedience a lifestyle. Let me tell your neighbor, obedience as a lifestyle. It's important for us to know that no believer amounts to anything. No Christian amounts to anything without obedience. Obedience is in the nerve of our walk with Jesus. Obedience is in the center. In fact, obedience is one of the anchor for our walk with Jesus. But many of us, one of the things we are mindful of is the land. Some of us leave the cities where we are born. Some of us leave the countries where we are born in a search for a greener pasture. So you see people leaving Kumasi to Kuwait. You see people leaving Kumasi, Ghana to Dubai. You see people leaving Nigeria to different parts of the earth. Now, you need to understand that as a Christian, what regulates your life is not the green side of things. It's not the green land. What regulates your life is your response to the instructions that God has given to you. Your response to the ability of God. Your response to the instructions. Your response to the dictate. Your response to the government of God. That is obedience. That for you to see and for you to partake of the fruit of the land, you must come to the place where you obey God deliberately. At the beginning of the year 2022, as my culture, we wait before the Lord in 2021 into 2022. And while we waited, fasted and prayed, and about 14 of us were praying together in a room, the Lord spoke to me and said to me, son, choose in the year 2022 obedience over convenience. And the reason is because obedience never makes sense. Obedience cannot be yielded to by our mental ability. Obedience cannot be yielded to by our mental strength. Because there are instructions from the Lord that will never make sense. How many of you have read a book by Dr. James Dobson, When God Doesn't Make Sense? How many of you have read that book? Or you've seen the book? Okay, I will want you to read that book. Dr. James Dobson, When God Doesn't Make Sense. You are going through trials, you are going through seemingly failing times, and when you woke up, God says, praise me. How many of you can obey God in that season? Praise me in the midst of this whole quagmire. Praise me in the midst of everybody sees you as a failure, and then the first instruction you receive that morning is give me praise. Celebrate me. I just checked my result and I've got 3F, 2D, and 1E. And Jesus says, thank me. And you are wondering how can I thank you with this kind of situation when you are my great God? And last night when my father was speaking, he said, how many of you know that faith has 5 ingredients? Did you remember that? One of the ingredients is obedience. No matter how full of faith you are, if you don't respond to the instructions, faith will not be activated. Because God will give the word, you will believe. When you believe, what do? You obey. And obedience should be the lifestyle of a believer.